A very good afternoon to the dignitaries on the dais and to all esteemed members of the audience, members of the diplomatic corps, respected academics, media representatives and students. We have gathered here for the 52nd Sapru House lecture. Before we begin, I kindly request that you switch off your mobile phones or set them to silent mode. Thank you. I am Dr. Athar Zafar, a senior research fellow and head of the SCO Study Center at the Indian Council of World Affairs. Today's lecture will be delivered by His Excellency Mr. Ararat Mիրզոյանի, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Armenia, on the topic of Armenia and India in a changing world, strengthening ties, securing futures. Today's Sapru House lecture will be chaired by Ambassador Shri Prashant Pise, Acting Director General, Indian Council of World Affairs. Ambassador Pise will begin with the opening remarks, after which we will proceed with the 52nd Sapru House lecture delivered by our esteemed guest. We will have a brief Q&A session following the lecture, which will be moderated by the chair. Let me now invite the Acting Director General, Ambassador Shri Prashant Pise, to deliver his welcome remarks and conduct the proceedings. Thank you.
His Excellency Mr. Ararат Mիրզոյանի, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Armenia, the accompanying Armenian delegation, His Excellency the Ambassador of Armenia to India, the Additional Secretary, Eurasia, Prime Minister of External Affairs, members of the Diplomatic Corps, former Indian ambassadors, including 3 Indian ambassadors I see to Armenia, members of the think tank, academic and business community, media and research community, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, namaste, berezev. It is indeed my privilege and honor to welcome His Excellency Mr. Ararат Mիրզոյանի, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Armenia, to the Indian Council of World Affairs, shortly ICWA, for the 52nd edition of the Sapru House Lecture Series. The ICWA is the oldest think tank in India, formed much before independence of India by a group of eminent intellectuals. The principal objective was to create an Indian perspective on foreign policy and international developments in post-World War II period. Since then, it has emerged as a premier foreign policy think tank with expertise in wide-ranging areas that span all geographies, as also the current trends and the changing dynamics in the world, by focusing on political security, defense and economic developments in the world over. In 2001, the Parliament of India designated ICWA as an institution of national importance precisely with these impulses. This building, which is Sapru House, has been named after one of the founders of ICWA, Sir Tej Bahadur Sapru. A special series of lectures entitled the Sapru House Lecture was initiated in 2012 and has been in place since then. ICWA has been hosting Sapru House lectures by visiting foreign dignitaries and eminent scholars from time to time, and I am indeed delighted to have the Foreign Minister of Armenia at this prestigious event. India is not new to the Honorable Foreign Minister. He has visited India twice in the past and met the External Affairs Minister of India on numerous occasions at various forums. The topic of today's lecture, Armenia and India in a changing world, strengthening ties, securing futures, is just apt. While India was one of the first countries to recognize the independence of Armenia and establish diplomatic ties, relations between the two countries actually go back several centuries. There is recorded history of presence of Armenian diaspora in India from the medieval times, and we boast a rich Armenian heritage with churches, cemeteries, and educational institutions in India. In fact, a stamp was issued by the Armenian Post in early 1990s of a church of Chennai, erstwhile Madras. The Armenian heritage has been preserved with great care and respect for Armenian traditions in India. the contribution of Armenian community to India's progress has been noteworthy. While our bilateral relations have expanded in political and cultural fields over the last 3 years, over the last 3 decades, there is clearly scope for further strengthening of economic and commercial cooperation, in particular tourism, hospitality, infrastructure, and investment. Armenia is a member of the Eurasian Economic Union, and we are currently negotiating a trade agreement with EU, and I am sure that we will boost our trade relations. The lack of direct connectivity, either air or land, between our two countries is a hindrance for enhanced people-to-people contacts and economic commercial exchanges. Hopefully, direct flights between our two countries will commence operations very soon, and that will no longer be a lacuna. Both India and Armenia are members of the International North-South Transport Corridor, which has the potential to breach the connectivity barrier. One important bridge between India and Armenia today is the presence of a large number of Indian students who are pursuing medical education in Armenia. We greatly appreciate the efforts of government of Armenia and the people of Armenia for the welfare of the Indian community, in particular the students. We deeply admire the attachment of the Armenians for India and its culture. Yoga is increasingly gaining popularity in Armenia. Armenia has given a place to the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, in a very prominent location in the form of a statue which reminds us of our common traditions of respect for tolerance and ideals of Mahatma Gandhi, that is truth and non-violence. Development cooperation, especially capacity building, needs a special mention. The number of Armenian officials and others from civil society who have undergone training programs in diverse fields in India witnessed a significant boost in recent times. Our cooperation in the UN and multilateral forums reflect the strength of our relationship. Armenia's support for our bid for permanent membership of UN Security Council is a case in point. For India, Armenia is a close and reliable partner, especially in the South Caucasus. We share common cultural bonds, mutual respect, and trust. I am confident that the current momentum in our ties will continue to strengthen further with the bilateral visit of Honorable Foreign Minister. With these words, I once again welcome Your Excellency, the Foreign Minister at ICWA today, and invite you to deliver the 52nd Sapru House. Thank you.
Honorable Acting Director General, Ambassador Pիսե, you said almost everything that I was going to say, so dear friends, if you have any questions, ask him, not me. He knows everything. Honorable Chair, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to address this esteemed audience, a platform renowned for its sharp analysis and forward-thinking discussions that significantly contribute to international dialogues. I am grateful for the opportunity to exchange views with you on matters of mutual importance as we explore the vast potential in further strengthening the strategic ties between the Republic of Armenia and the Republic of India. India was among the first countries to recognize the independence of Armenia in 1991. Only 4 years later, we signed the Treaty on Friendship and Cooperation between our countries, and this year we already mark the 30th anniversary of this important document. This is both symbolic and important momentum to take stock of what has been achieved and work jointly towards more ambitious projects. Of course, the relationship between our nations extends far beyond these 34 years. Although separated by geographical distance, Armenia has always regarded India as a close partner, a nation with which we share deep civilizational bonds and a long history of amicable relations. Historically, our peoples have been intervened long before modern nation states emerged. In the early modern period, Armenian merchants in India pioneered cross-border trade and cultural exchanges. Remarkably, constitutional ideas sit at the foundation of our centuries-old friendship. In 17 1973, Armenian intellectuals in India drafted Vorogait Parats, our first constitution, while in 1794, an Armenian priest in Madras published Azdarar, the first Armenian periodical in the world. These initiatives become a unique conduit for the exchange of Enlightenment ideas between our peoples. The preservation of cultural heritage and diversity remains central to both our nations. Institutions such as the Armenian College and Philanthropic Academy in Kolkata and historic churches and other historical sites across India stand as living testaments to the Armenian communities on Indian soil. Their preservation under the protective auspices of the Government of India not only underscores our mutual respect, but also exemplifies our shared commitment to safeguarding cultural identity for future generations. I would also like to highlight the unique reproductions of the Ajanta murals by the renowned Armenian artist Sarkis Khachadurian, who made an invaluable contribution to rediscovering ancient Indian art for the contemporary world. Currently housed at the National Gallery of Armenia, these works represent the centuries-old cultural and spiritual bond between our peoples and remind us that art and culture are the true bridges of diplomacy. Today, Armenia and India enjoy multifaceted cooperation that continues to evolve dynamically. The comprehensive deepening of our partnership with India constitutes a foreign policy priority for Armenia, and we view these relations from a long-term perspective. The past few years have witnessed a significant upward trajectory in our relations. I should definitely underline here that this has been possible with the personal contribution and strong dedication of my dear friend and counterpart, Dr. Jaishankar. Through joint efforts and resolute commitment, we have achieved very concrete results across numerous spheres of mutual interest, including economy, security and defense, information technologies, education, and culture. Our collaboration and intense political dialogue has flourished through exchanges of visits and various cooperation mechanisms, including political consultations between our foreign affairs ministries and sessions of the Intergovernmental Commission. Our bilateral defense and security cooperation continues to expand. We welcome the first consultations held between our defense ministries and believe that the appointment of resident military attachés represents another valuable asset in developing deeper cooperation in this vital field. While economic activity is growing, it has not yet reached desired levels. We aim to substantially increase bilateral trade volumes in the coming years, focusing our efforts on facilitating Armenian companies to establish business connections with India. This ambition formed the core of discussions during the last Intergovernmental Commission session in Yerevan, and as the chair of the Armenian side, I am committed to prioritizing these activities by fostering institutional engagement and intensifying business to government and business to business interactions. I think our expert communities might contribute to this effort by more insightful analysis and recommendations that could bring our businesses closer. Removing barriers to the free movement of people, goods, and services is a prerequisite for addressing the structural constraints of landlocked developing countries and promoting global market integration. Enhanced connectivity is crucial to this end. Armenia is deeply interested in advancing dialogue and cooperation with the International North-South Transport Corridor project and the Chabahar Port Development Initiative. In this regard, the Armenia-India-Iran trilateral cooperation format is of great significance, and I am pleased that we have already initiated this mechanism and started engaging in practical discussions on this issue. Armenia and India can establish mutually beneficial cooperation across every sphere: high-tech, IT, education, science, tourism, aviation, logistics, and pharmaceuticals, stand out as particularly promising areas for our partnership. Tourism represents an important collaboration field that brings not only economic benefits, but promotes mobility and people-to-people contacts, fostering mutual understanding. We are actively working toward establishing direct flights between Yerevan and Delhi. Collaboration in spheres such as green energy offers exciting prospects by leveraging Armenian potential and Indian expertise. In 2024, Armenia became a member of the International Solar Alliance, a joint initiative of India and France, opening new avenues for cooperation. In 2023, Armenia and India signed a memorandum of understanding on sharing successful digital solutions for population scale digital transformation. During my current visit, we are planning to sign a document on cooperation in the field of medical products regulation. As you can see, ongoing discussions across all these directions are materializing into practical agreements and new opportunities for our governments and business communities. You will see additional documents signed after today's meeting with Minister Jaishankar. Armenia actively cooperates with India in international fora as our countries share similar approaches to many issues of regional and global significance. We both firmly commit to international law and the principles of the United Nations Charter, while sharing the view that UN reform is necessary through expansion, improved working methods, and strengthened prevention and early response mechanisms, enhance its efficiency, representativeness, and legitimacy in addressing evolving global challenges. The humanitarian dimension of our partnership, encompassing educational and cultural aspects, deserve special emphasis. Approximately 3,000 Indian students study in Armenia, primarily in medical specializations, and we are exploring opportunities to enhance and expand student exchange programs. We have successfully fostered academic collaboration with prominent think tanks, including Observer Research Foundation, Vivekananda International Foundation, and Usanas Foundation. Platforms like Raisina Dialogue, where Armenia frequently and broadly participates, offer invaluable opportunities to strengthen interactions with Indian partners. Similarly, the ORF and Indian officials and expert community actively engaged in our initiative, the Yerevan Dialogue, launched last year. I cordially invite you to join and follow this year's edition, scheduled on May 26-27. Ladies and gentlemen, today we find ourselves in an increasingly complex world. The global community faces interconnected challenges, with events in one region immediately echoing in others. Confrontations, security threats, grave violations of human rights and humanitarian crises, global uncertainties, climate change, disrupted global supply chains, and weakening food security create new complexities in international relations. Unfortunately, Armenia has been facing such challenges directly. Despite all difficulties, the security threats, Armenia is consistently working towards the establishment of durable peace in the South Caucasus. We firmly believe peace has no alternative, and only agreements reached through dialogue can bring lasting stability and regional progress. Perhaps this vision could not have been defined better than through Mahatma Gandhi's famous message. I'm quoting, "There is no way to peace. Peace is the way." End of the quote. With this understanding, Armenia has been engaged in good faith in the peace process with Azerbaijan, and today, more than ever, we are close to the signing of the peace treaty, a document establishing interstate relations between the two countries, founded on respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity, inviolability of borders, and refraining from use of force or threat of force. Importantly, last year, bilateral negotiations already led to signing of the regulation for border delimitation between Armenia and Azerbaijan, recognizing the 1991 Alma-Ata Declaration as the delimitation basis. The Alma-Ata Declaration reconfirmed that after the breakup of the Soviet Union, the administrative boundaries of the Armenian Soviet Republic, Socialist Republic, and the Azerbaijani Soviet Socialist Republic had become international borders between the two independent republics. We have already successfully delimited over 12 kilometers of border and are bilaterally working towards efficient continuation of the process, which is significantly contributed to regional stability. Within the context of normalization, we have presented concrete, mutually beneficial proposals to Azerbaijan on the unblocking of regional transport infrastructure, as a result of which both Azerbaijan and Armenia can transport goods through each other's railway infrastructure. Additionally, for the sake of regional stability and predictability, we have put forward a proposal on mutual arms control and verification mechanism. Unfortunately, we cannot state that our constructive approach is fully reciprocated by Azerbaijan. Moreover, we continue hearing high-level public statements and narratives pertaining territorial claims against the Sovereign Republic of Armenia, including through the so-called Western Azerbaijan narrative. At the same time, there are still humanitarian issues, namely the pending release of the detainees. As we speak, the staged trials against 23 Armenian individuals who are detained are taking place in Azerbaijan with disregard of human rights standards for due process. Achieving complete settlement and durable peace requires preparing societies for reconciliation. Unresolved humanitarian issues can only hinder that process. Armenia has also engaged in the process of normalization of relations with Turkey. We believe full normalization, particularly at this point establishing diplomatic relations and opening borders, would contribute significantly to regional peace and stability. We continue this dialogue and have taken practical steps. Armenia has successfully completed the construction and technical preparation of the Markara crossing checkpoint on the border with Turkey. Additionally, in November 2024, representatives from the relevant ministries of Armenia and Turkey held a meeting to review the technical requirements for border crossing on the Gyumri-Kars railway. Also, we agreed to jointly restore the Anii Bridge, a historic landmark situated on our shared border. This complements the already implemented decisions establishing direct air flights and removing barriers to air cargo transportation. We have also agreed to open the border for the holders of diplomatic passports and third country nationals, although implementation of the latter is pending. Once implemented, these agreements will benefit not only Armenia and Turkey, but the broader region, with unblocked transport routes serving as crucial factors for regional peace and stability. Dear friends, recognizing the importance of opening all trade and transport communications, as you could see from the proposals I already mentioned, Armenia's government has initiated the Crossroads of Peace project aimed at unblocking transport infrastructures based on the principles of sovereignty, national jurisdiction, equality, and reciprocity. The project's essence involves developing communication between all South Caucasian countries through renovated and new roads, railways, pipelines, cables, and electricity lines. In negotiations on unblocking regional transport infrastructure, Armenia envisions comprehensiveness, inclusiveness, non-discriminatory use of regional routes, and prosperous future for all interested parties. Regarding our other neighbors, I must highlight our friendly and close relations with Georgia and Iran. In 2023, we elevated our relationship with Georgia to a strategic partnership, formalizing what has essentially always been a strategic relationship across all areas. With Iran, we experience continuous development of bilateral cooperation based on natural interests. Armenia maintains intensive dialogue and developing relations with the United States and the European Union. The trilateral meeting on April 5, 2024 resulted in a joint Armenia, United States, European Union statement. Last year also saw another round of our strategic dialogue with the United States, culminating in signing the Strategic Partnership Charter 2 months ago. Armenia remains strongly committed to enhancing our bilateral agenda with the European Union and deepening multifaceted cooperation. We are currently negotiating the new partnership agenda, reflecting the momentum in the Armenia-EU relations. Once completed, these ambitious partnership priorities will mark another milestone, bringing Armenia closer to the EU and the broader European community, aligned with the European aspirations of Armenia's citizens. The European Union civilian mission in Armenia, deployed along our border with Azerbaijan, has significantly contributed to stability in border regions over the past 2 years, dealing with escalation risks. Our engagement with the Eurasian Economic Union has been an important factor for the growth of trade with Russia. We are taking steps to deepen cooperation with partner countries in Central Asia, China, and beyond. In conclusion, the partnership between Armenia and India holds immense promise and potential across all dimensions. As we navigate the complex geopolitical landscape of the 21st century, our countries stand united not only by common values and historical connections, but by a shared vision for a future where cooperation, dialogue, mutual trust, and respect prevail. And I thank you.
With shifting global alliances, how is Armenia balancing its relationships between traditional partners like Russia and emerging partners such as India and the European Union? Thank you.
Can you hear? Yeah, you hear? Okay. So thank you for tolerating this long speech, and also for the interest for coming for the question. Very important question, by the way, the most important, I would say. Well, the experience of Armenia, the experience of last 4 or 5 years show that we cannot rely and restrict ourselves to traditional partnerships, and that times change rapidly with and we see it nowadays as well, by the way, with quite unpredictable results and solutions. So we decided that and came to the conclusion that we should, I'm not sure whether the word is appropriate, but nevertheless it transpasses the sense of our intention. So we decided to diversify our foreign policy, our partnerships, our economic ties, everything. So we should have more balanced and balancing foreign policy. And by the way, to be frank, this is from where our new partnership with India emerged. This is from where our close partnership with the European Union started. You mentioned it as well. This is from where our new partnership with the United States emerged, and as I mentioned already, just 2 months ago we leveled up our relations with the United States, for instance, from the strategic dialogue to strategic partnership. and now we work with the new American administration towards the implementation of these documents and what is mentioned in this document. And of course, we keep our close ties with Russia as well. We, as I mentioned, are in the same economic integration area with Russia, with some Central Asian countries, the Eurasian Economic Cooperation. And we highly benefit from being a member of this format, of this platform. But as I said, we do not restrict ourselves. We see that the world is changing. We truly believe that new cooperation, new dialogues with not so traditional partners, but also keeping the traditional relations are beneficial for Armenia. And I guess, I believe that this is a good resolution not only for Armenia. Everybody nowadays in the world is trying to explore new opportunities, new platforms from their nations as well. So I hope I answered your question.
Excellency Manish Jha, Center for Global India Insights. Armenia is, from what we know, is interested in joining BRICS. What does Armenia expect from BRICS? Does it expect India's support? That's number one. And number two, defense has emerged as a major pillar of India-Armenia partnership. What is the next big area of India-Armenia partnership? Thank you.
For India-Armenian partnership, it would be very hard for me to separate one specific things, but I believe there are numerous spheres, numerous projects that we can implement together, several spheres where we can significantly deepen our relations. And by the way, we have been engaged in talks about these things and about the deepening of the relations, and it is already time to see concrete results, and fingers crossed we're close to some very good solutions in several areas. So, as I said, it would be hard for me to separate any specific things, but to generalize, we have built a solid foundation. Now, probably it is the time to have concrete and tangible results in economic cooperation, starting from establishment of direct flights towards which we both, the two countries and companies of the two countries work. And by the way, we are very, very close to establishment of these direct flights. There are no restrictions here, and I even cannot say starting from establishment of direct flights and finishing with something. There is no something to finish with. It's an unlimited horizon. The first component of the question. Well, to tell the truth, we have been participating in BRICS events as a partner, as an observer. I'm not saying the official status, but the attitude, the approach. But Armenia has never officially applied for membership in BRICS. So most probably it's too early to speak about that sort of cooperation.
Hello, I'm Anubha. I'm research associate at the council. My question to His Excellency is, how does Armenia see the role of regional economic and infrastructure projects, for example, new transport corridors, in fostering long-term peace and stability in the Caucasus area? Thank you.
Again, thank you very much for your interest. As you probably have seen, a significant part of my introduction was devoted to this specific topic. And I also mentioned the countries with whom we want to unblock or develop, if already there are no blocks there, develop joint infrastructure and infrastructure projects with. Well, first of all, Armenia has 4 neighbors on the ground. We have borders with 4 countries. Azerbaijan on our east, Turkey on our west, Georgia on our north, and Iran on the south, and of course Russia in very close vicinity, northern to Georgia. So 2 out of 4 borders are currently closed. The borders with Azerbaijan, because of the very well-known conflict, and the border with Turkey, again, as I understand, because of the same conflict with Azerbaijan. Now we negotiate first of all with these 2 countries to open the borders, unblock the transport communication infrastructure. And as I said, we have made a very good and mutually beneficial, I'm confident, proposal to Azerbaijan. And if there is a constructive, respective attitude and response from Azerbaijan, we can easily and quickly open at least part of the infrastructure, for instance, in the very south of Armenia, by which Azerbaijan could get access and can use our railway infrastructure to connect the 2 parts of this country. You know that Azerbaijan also has a big part of it, Nakhichevan, which is not connected with the mainland, if I may say so, on the ground. So they can connect the 2 countries, and then from Baku they can travel or send their goods through our territory and through our railway infrastructure, not only to Nakhichevan, but also beyond, to Turkey and to Europe. And equally and reciprocally, we get access and we can use their railway infrastructure, and you can imagine we can connect our railway through their railway infrastructure. We can send or receive goods from Russia, from Central Asia. So, you know, the whole world is now in a search for new transport logistical roads. So this could be equally said about Armenia, about Azerbaijan, the whole South Caucasus. But, you know, there is a saying, the devil is in details. So initially Azerbaijan wanted to get access to our railway and connect the 2 parts of their countries, again, as I said, through the very south of Armenia, but there is a nuance here. They wanted a 3rd country troops to be brought to our country and to be deployed along this railway. And they explained this by the necessity of additional security for their goods and passengers. So this is, and I can say this freely, openly, this is a thing that I have repeated numerous times publicly during the negotiations. This is completely unacceptable for Armenia. This cannot be done. But instead, we can guarantee, first of all, we of course guarantee the passage of all goods and passengers on our territory, but also we can think about some additional mechanisms such as implementation of additional using additional insurers tools for the goods, for instance. And this should certainly, and as I understand, I mean, this is naturally should give some confidence to Azerbaijani companies or the state, government agencies to send their goods to Armenia. Also, the whole world, everybody in the world now are trying to simplify some border crossing mechanism procedures. I don't know, the use of electronic scanners is becoming more and more popular, or distance declaring the goods that are in a distance manner, electronically, for instance, declaring the goods that are going to be passed through this or that country. So we can think about this sort of mechanism as well. So to summarize, we can simplify the procedures. Also, we can guarantee the safety, security, and also we can think about some additional insurance tools. This, I believe, should significantly ease the process, and we are waiting for a positive response from Azerbaijan if they are interested. If I were interested, if I were expecting for a constructive proposal, I would consider this proposal to be the best possible one, without, of course, involving any third country, without involving any militaries in this area, because if we are going to build peace with Azerbaijan, and we are absolutely frank and honest here, and we are absolutely dedicated to this peace agenda, then this could become one of the main pillars of the future peace. By the way, if you noticed, we called this project, which is of course, I focused in answering your question, I focused on Azerbaijan, but also this can be said about, this is much larger thing, unblocking the communications. This is not only about opening the border between Armenia and Azerbaijan, as you understand. And if you noticed, we have called our project of and our initiative of unblocking the regional and increasing regional connectivity, Crossroads of Peace, because we believe that if implemented, this initiative could be beneficial not only for our economies, but in general, this could be one of the major factors of peace in the region. So equally, we negotiate with Turkey as well. Yes, please. If we have copies, we can disseminate through, yeah. Okay, great. So we have a brochure here. Basically, whatever I'm talking about, you can find in these 2 pages. Equally, this can be said about our border with Turkey as well. I'm not quite sure whether you see what I'm showing from that distance, but nevertheless. So, as I said, we have agreed over a couple of things with Turkey. Some things do take place on the ground, do happen on the ground. Some things are still on the status, so some things are still on the paper. For instance, we agreed that we open the border with for the third country citizens and diplomatic passport holders. This is unfortunately not implemented yet, but we continue our negotiations, and I must note that we see the constructive approach from our Turkish counterparts as well. So again, if you have in your mind some other connectivity projects which can be interlinked with the Crossroads of Peace, with unblocking the transport infrastructure in South Caucasus, we are interested. If there is a new possibility to modify the ideas that we have, that can be beneficial for us, and this is not only about South Caucasus, this is beyond of our region. So we are interested, we are in, you have, and whoever has those sort of ideas, they have good and potential partners in face of Armenia.
Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you very much, Minister. I'm the Ambassador of Argentina. Just to say our good wishes from the Argentine Armenian community is very important. I had the opportunity to be there in the country twice, and I think it's good for you, Foreign Minister, your ambassador, our colleague, to know we are very appreciative when we have the opportunity to take some people there, and with the support of the Armenian government, we had also the opportunity to deal with the president at that 2023, and to take also some journalists from my country. And I think it's a good initiative for you and for other countries. So thank you once again. And now I will give to my colleague from the other Armenia in the world.
Thank you very much. I'm Victor Echeverri, Ambassador of Colombia. And yes, my colleague from Argentina, he's right. My little town in Colombia, the name of my hometown is Armenia. So I feel automatically connected to Armenia.
You are Armenian.
That's right, certainly, sir. So thank you very much for your insights. It has been very interesting, and thank you very much to the Indian Council of World Affairs and Ambassador Bagan for the invitation. He's over there. Oh, I see you. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask a question. Nowadays, with this vulnerable, uncertain, complex, complicated world, it seems that the recipe for the small countries, emerging economies, is to diversify, as you mentioned, diversify our relations. It means also that before we had trustable partners, and now we don't have any trustable partner. So, what is the recipe to gain again trust in the partners for the next future? Because nowadays it seems that there's a lot of work to do in that subject. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Well, thank you very much. Dear Ambassador of Argentina, I was there in your wonderful country last year, I remember. Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to be in your wonderful country, Ambassador, and definitely in your wonderful hometown, of course. But I hope I will have the opportunity in the future. Meanwhile, you can visit Armenia whenever you want, of course. There is no recipe, and this is the problem. Mankind, and this is my belief, and of course I might be mistaken easily, but there hasn't been any recipe ever. I mean, never. And unfortunately, only through long way, only through often sufferings, wars, and new knowledge which come again, unfortunately, after wars and after sufferings, human beings find new solutions. I believe that we will find new solutions, and the world will come. Will go back to the normal way of life, if, of course, you agree that today we don't live in normal times. So my hope is that this time we could find solutions not through sufferings, although we already today witness the suffering here and there. But yeah, the price is very big, and I hope we are mature now enough than, I don't know, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, several hundred years ago. The light will show. I'm not sure, unfortunately not sure. But there is no recipe. But thank you very much for attendance, and thank you very much for your very important and interesting questions.